Hello everyone, welcome to webinar number 6. We are finally halfway through. So this is webinar number 6 in the 12-part series of the PACE implementation. Thank you so much for logging in again as a team. I look forward to supporting you today. I'm excited for today's webinar because this is where you will see the true magic of the PACE system. So if you're ready and you're excited, tell the people around you, give them a high five and say, I am ready. Come on, do it. Give them a high five and say, I'm ready. Thank you. So, like we do in every single webinar of ours, let's do a quick recap of the journey we've covered so far. We started this entire webinar series with the objective of setting you on a fast track with a step-by-step practical system to build a win-win-win business. Now, like I say, that is the foundation of everything we do. Customer wins, team members win, business owner wins. That's what we are here for. And we're going to accomplish this objective of building a win-win-win business by implementing a globally renowned system called as the PACE system, which will help you accelerate the performance of your business. Now, in the PACE system, there are 5 stages. The first stage of the PACE system was the aspiration creation stage, where we decide where you want to go. Then the second stage is the analysis stage, where we do an analysis of what is coming in the way, what is stopping us from achieving that aspiration goal. And then comes the third stage, which is what we are going to be initiating today, which is called the awareness stage. In this stage, you will get clarity of what are the 3 elements that you need to focus on to accelerate the performance of your business. So that's the third stage, which is the awareness stage. And then we go on to the fourth stage, which is the action planning stage. Now, while you're implementing the PACE system in a step-by-step manner through this webinar series, let me tell you this, that the awareness stage and the action planning stage work simultaneously during implementation. So today in webinar number 6, we're going to be opening up awareness along with action planning and help you take things forward from there. And then finally, we will go to the 5th stage, which is the achievement stage, where you start seeing the magic and the results happen. So 5 stages of the PACE system, we've completed 2. We're going to open stage 3 and 4 today in this webinar. So are you excited? Yes? If you're excited, turn to the person next to you, give them a high five and say, I am excited. Thank you. All right, wonderful. So let's do a recap of the steps you've taken so far. In the first 2 webinars, we spoke about the aspiration creation stage, and you took some massive steps for creating the aspirations of your business. The first step you did was you understood everybody's personal aspirations on the team. Then from there, you created the SMART breakthrough objectives for your business in the 5 parameters of a business goal. You worked on your financial goal, your customer-centric goal, your team-centric goal, your functional systems goal, and your learning-centric goal. From there, you created a breakthrough revenue goal for yourself, something which is outside your comfort zone, something that you've never done before. And then you defined your common why, your common purpose, which is the fuel to this entire game that we are playing of growing the business. And finally, you named your goal. You gave it a name that is inspiring, that brings all of you together. So that was the aspiration creation stage. Then we went to the second stage, which was the analysis stage, where you firstly educated each other on a common understanding that problems are anything that come in the way of us achieving the aspiration goal. Any doubt, any fear, any limitation, any obstacle that can come in the way of us achieving the aspiration goal is considered a problem. Now, while we defined that as a problem, we also said that the key is to solve problems, and the way to solve problems is firstly to list them. So you did the exercise of listing out your problems. You listed team problems, system problems, strategy problems, self problems, and boss problems. You compiled this list as a team, and then we went into the analysis using an age-old management tool called the 5 Why technique. Now you did the 5 Why analysis for 10% of your problem list, and then in the previous webinar I taught you the scanning technique, where we said that any root cause for any problem comes under one of the 4 funnels. Either it is a lesson learned because it's a realization for you, or it's a relationship challenge and it goes under the conflicts funnel, or it is strategy, system, plans and processes missing, which goes under the creation list, or it is a lack of skill or lack of knowledge which goes under the competence development area. And we taught you the questions for the scanning technique, and you use the scanning technique for the balance 90% of your problems to identify the root causes that come in the way of you achieving your aspiration goal. Now that you have the root causes of what comes in the way of you achieving the aspiration goal, it is my job to equip you with the next step, which is the awareness stage and the action planning stage. Like I said in the earlier part of this webinar, that during implementation, awareness and action planning works in tandem. So we are in webinar number 6, which is going to be awareness and action planning. Even webinar number 7, 8 and 9 is going to be awareness and action planning. So we have different elements that we are going to get aware to and create action plans for. And then webinar 10, 11, 12 would be the achievement stage. So are you excited and are you ready to start the awareness and action planning stage? If you're excited and you're ready, turn to the person next to you, give them a high five and say, I am ready. Come on, do it. Turn to the person next to you, give them a high five and say, I am ready. Thank you. So let's explore the awareness and action planning stage through a story. Let me share a story with you because I believe people learn best through stories. So how many of you have heard of this company by the name FedEx? If you've heard of FedEx, raise your hands. Thank you. Now FedEx is into logistics and courier services. We all know that. Now FedEx has a tagline which said, delivery overnight. Now, in most parts of the world, if you say delivery overnight and you don't deliver overnight, the maximum that can happen is that you may have an unhappy customer. But in the US, if you say delivery overnight and you don't deliver overnight, then your company gets taken to court and you have to pay massive damages. Now, FedEx had this huge warehouse in the US. Now, I want you to imagine this. A massive warehouse which has 4 conveyor belts. Now you know what are conveyor belts, right? These are those belts on which the parcels move in a particular factory. So FedEx had this massive warehouse which had 4 conveyor belts running simultaneously like complex flyovers, one above the other, one below the other. It was a very complex system, and each conveyor belt system was about 1.5 miles long. So it was more than 1.5 miles long. That's how massive the warehouse was. And each conveyor belt system had a separate exit point. Like the conveyor belt which had parcels which had to be sent via roadways had a separate exit point. There was another conveyor belt which had all the parcels that had to be sent via railways, another exit point. Another conveyor belt, all the parcels via cargo, another exit point. And one with all the parcels via airways, another exit point. So massive conveyor belt system, huge warehouse, extremely complex looking, and at one end of the warehouse they had a bridge, and this bridge was called as the view bridge, because if you stand on this bridge you get a bird's eye view of the entire warehouse system. So operations in this warehouse was going as a normal day would go, and suddenly what happened one afternoon was the entire conveyor belt system came to a standstill. Everything stopped. Now the entire staff of the warehouse went into panic mode. The general manager jumped out of his cabin, started running around looking at what's the problem, what's the issue, why is the conveyor belt system not working. All the engineers started checking and looking for where is the fault, what's the challenge, why isn't the conveyor belt system working. They checked the power supply, they realized the power supply is as normal as it can be. They went to the computer room where this massive IT infrastructure was controlling the warehouse system. They checked all the computers, everything was working normally. For 2 hours, the entire staff of the warehouse was running all around trying to figure out what is the problem. And as they were trying to figure out what is the problem, with every passing minute, the level of panic was increasing because all their jobs were on the line. And the general manager was sweating hard. He was requesting his team, figure out what's the challenge, why are we not able to get the conveyor belts working, what's the problem. And then after 2 hours, he got his entire staff together for a briefing. And all these engineers came and they said, sir, we've checked the power supply, there's no problem. We've checked the computer systems that control the conveyor belts, there's no problem even there. We have no idea why this is not working. Now the general manager was like, look, all our jobs are on the line. We got to figure a solution out. We need an answer. We need a solution. Now there was one small boy who was a junior staff who used to work in the housekeeping department of the warehouse, and he was responsible for dusting and cleaning the conveyor belts every day. He looked at the general manager and he said, "Sir, may I suggest something?" And the general manager said, "Go ahead." He said, "There is an old mechanic who stays close by. He was there during the construction of this warehouse. Can I bring him? Can I call him so that he can help us figure out what is the problem? Because he's constructed this entire warehouse system brick by brick." Now, all these engineers hear to the recommendation of that little boy and they start laughing and they say, "We can't do anything as engineers. What would a mechanic do?" But the general manager, he was desperate. So he told the boy, "Bring me anybody. I don't care. I need help." So this boy ran. He got the old mechanic, and this old mechanic walked in with this blue jumpsuit that mechanics wear. You've seen that? The kind which has marks of grease everywhere. It's torn. And this man was with a long beard, hunched back. He was carrying a metallic toolbox where all the tools were making sounds as he was taking each step. So this old man walked in silently, and all these engineers were standing in one side, and they were smiling and laughing and amongst each other talking, saying, "We couldn't figure it out. What would he do?" And this old mechanic silently walks in to the warehouse. He climbs up the view bridge, goes up, looks around the entire warehouse, and then places his toolbox without speaking a word, takes a screwdriver, puts it in his back pocket, gets down from the view bridge, goes into the floor area where the conveyor belt system is laid, goes to a particular point in the conveyor belt and takes out his screwdriver, and he turns 3 screws, 1, 2 and 3. And as he turned the 3 screws, the entire conveyor belt system started working. Now everybody was surprised. The general manager jumped out of his chair and he said, "Thank you so much. You saved my job. You saved my life. Okay, I'll do anything for you. Thank you so much." The old mechanic just nodded his head and said, "Don't worry, I just did my job." And he left. The next morning, the general manager came. He went into his cabin and he saw an envelope on his table. He opened the envelope, he removed what was inside, and he saw that it was the invoice of the old mechanic. And he looked at the right hand side bottom of the invoice and he saw an amount, $10,000 US. And this general manager screamed. He's like, "What? $10,000 US? Who charges $10,000 US for turning 3 screws? I saw what that old man did. How can he charge us $10,000 US for just turning 3 screws?" And he immediately called the old mechanic and he said, "Sir, with all due respect, you saved my job yesterday, but $10,000 US for turning 3 screws is an unreasonable amount. I saw exactly what you did. You just turned 3 screws. You can't charge us $10,000 US for turning 3 screws." And the old mechanic replied, absolutely calmly. He said, "Let me explain, son." He said, $1 for turning 3 screws, $9,999 for knowing which screw to turn. And then the general manager just hung up. Because I want you to understand this. The real contribution of that old mechanic was not turning the 3 screws. Anybody could have turned 3 screws. The real contribution of that mechanic was to know which screws to turn exactly to get the conveyor belt system to start working. Now the reason I share this story with you is because I believe as teams, as business teams, as entrepreneurs, I believe that sometimes when we are not able to produce the desired results in our business, we don't know which screw to turn. How many of you agree? Yes or no? Okay, we are too lost, we are too scattered, we are too all over the place when we are not producing the desired result. And I'm going to share with you what are those 3 screws you need to turn as a team in your business to take your business performance to the next level. So are you ready to learn what are those 3 screws that you have to turn? Let me tell you this. I have researched this, I have tested it with thousands of organizations. And the answer is the same. It is these 3 screws that I'm going to be teaching you in today's webinar that you need to turn to accelerate the performance of your business under any and all circumstances. Let me repeat that. Under any and all circumstances, you turning these three screws will accelerate the performance of your business. So are you ready to learn what those three screws are? Are you ready? Yes? If you're ready, turn to the person next to you, give them a high five and say, I'm ready. Thank you. Now that you're ready to learn what those three screws are, let me first give you the definition of the word PACE. We've been talking about PACE as a system, but today for the first time I'm going to be sharing with you what does PACE actually mean. So if you notice, it is P.A.C.E, which means it is an acronym. It's not the word pace, which means speed. Of course, by using this system, you will accelerate the speed at which you produce results, but that's not what the real word means. So everybody, make a note of this. Write this down. Write this. Performance acceleration. Come on, write it. Performance acceleration is a result of. So PA, performance acceleration, is a result of CE. Let me tell you what is CE in the word PACE. Clarity, competence and culture enhancement. Write it. Clarity, competence and culture enhancement. Got that down? Awesome. So read it out now. Performance acceleration is a result of clarity, competence and culture enhancement. So I want you to consider this. In any situation, in any department or in any team of your business, if you're not able to produce the desired result, it is because either clarity is missing or competence is missing or culture is missing. And when you enhance the level of clarity, when you enhance the level of competence and you enhance the level of culture, your performance automatically accelerates. Which means the three screws for you to turn in any situation when you're not producing the desired result is the screw of clarity, the screw of competence and the screw of culture. These are the three elements that ensure that your performance goes up. I want you to think about it. Without clarity, can we produce results? Can we produce results without having clarity of our roles, our goals, our systems? No, we cannot produce results. At the same time, you may have the clarity of the goal, of the roles, of the systems, but you may not have the competence, you may not have the skill and knowledge. Then can you produce the result? No, you can't produce the result. Or you may have the clarity, you may have the competence, but you may not have a culture where people work together. Think about it. How many times have you seen teams where people are capable, they know exactly what to do, but they're not doing it because there's an ego conflict or some kind of blame game which is making people to underperform in that environment. So I want you to understand this. Clarity is required for performance, competence is required for high performance, and culture is required for high performance. And in any situation, if you're not getting the desired result, it is either because clarity is missing or competence is missing or culture is missing, and we need to enhance these three elements to accelerate performance. From here on, as a team and as a business owner, this is going to be your mantra. At any point you're not getting the desired result, just check in that situation. Is clarity there? Is competence there? Or is culture there? And you will see that it will be one of these three elements which are loose, or sometimes two of these three elements, or sometimes all the three elements are missing, and you need to enhance these three elements and you'll produce the desired result. So everybody, put your hand on your heart. Put your hand on your heart. Heart is to your left. And repeat after me. Performance acceleration. Come on, everybody together. Performance acceleration is a result of clarity, competence and culture enhancement. Everybody say it. Performance acceleration is a result of clarity, competence and culture enhancement. Now these three elements, you enhance them, your performance is bound to accelerate. It's a promise. Now, understanding what is PACE, now we'll begin the journey of building the business in a manner where it becomes a win-win-win business and we achieve that aspiration goal. And this journey we are going to begin starting now is all about becoming future ready. Everybody write these words down. Future ready. Because I want you to think of it. The results you as a company are producing today are because of the level of clarity you have today, the level of competence you have today, and the level of culture you have today. So the results you're producing today are a reflection of the clarity, competence and culture you have. Which means if you want to produce the next level of results, which is the aspiration goal that you've set, we need to enhance the clarity, enhance the competence, enhance the culture, which will make us ready to achieve this kind of a result. So the game is about becoming future ready. So the game is about working on ourselves, working on our team, working on our systems, working on our strategies to become future ready to deserve that goal. So it's not just running behind a number, because if you run behind a number, there is no point. The number only will run away from you. The key is to become capable where we can deserve that number, that we can deserve that goal. Like I always say this, success is not about making money. Everybody repeat after me. Success is not about making money. Success is about becoming capable where by default you make the money. So you reach that level of capability where by default you make that money. So as a business, we need to enhance the clarity, the competence and culture to a point where by default we achieve that aspiration goal. And this process of building that clarity, building that competence, building that culture is called becoming future ready for that aspiration goal. Does that make sense? Yes? So turn to the person next to you, give them a high five and say, we need to become future ready. Come on, tell them, we need to become future ready. So now we are going to work backwards from the point of view of what is the clarity required within the organization to achieve that aspiration goal. What is the competence required within the organization to achieve that aspiration goal? And what is the culture required to achieve that organizational aspiration goal? So the key is to become future ready. I hope you got that. Now, today's webinar, we're going to start with the first element, which is the screw of clarity. Today we are going to be talking about clarity. And while I teach you about clarity, one of the things I need you to understand is you need to have the clarity of what is a business. Now I covered this in webinar number 2, so I'm going to recap this a little bit for all of you. A business is like a wheel. Everybody do this. A business is like a wheel, and the wheel has different spokes. Yes or no? In the same way, business has 7 spokes, which means there are 7 activities which are critical for any business, be it a solopreneur, be it a micropreneur, be it an SME, be it a large organization, an MNC or a corporate, does not matter. Every business has 7 functions, which are 7 core activities required for any business. The first function or the first activity in any business is marketing. And the goal of marketing is to generate leads. The goal of marketing is to generate leads. These are interested prospective customers. So that's the goal of marketing as a function. The second function in any business is sales. And the goals of sales is to take the leads generated by marketing, convert them into clients and generate revenues. So the goal of sales is revenue generation. The third function in any business is operations. And the goal of operations is to deliver on the promise made to the customer at the time of sale and deliver it in a manner where the customer is happy. So the goal of operations is customer impact and customer happiness. The fourth function in any business is R&D, which means we need to create new products and new services. Any business needs 3 types of products and services. Make a note of this. Any business needs 3 types of products and services. They need an easy to buy product or service. They need a primary product or service and a high value product or service. These are the 3 types of products or services any business needs. Because an easy to buy product or service allows you to get more customers. And once you have more customers, you build a relationship, then it becomes easier to offer your primary product or service to these customers. And then eventually you can offer a high value product or service to these customers for their other needs. So everybody write it down. Any business needs easy to buy products or services, primary products or services and high value products or services. And by having easy to buy products or services, you get more customers, you also get a stable cash flow. And when you have a stable cash flow out of easy to buy products or services, then you can truly enjoy the benefit and profits of your primary product and your high value product. So we need to do R&D to improve the stability of our business by creating these three types of products or services. So R&D would be the fourth function in any business. The fifth function in any business is accounts and finance. And the goal of accounts and finance is to make sure that the numbers, the data that is captured is accurate, and make sure that we are complying to the taxations that are relevant to our business, and we are drawing insights and data to make decisions in our business. Think about it. If you don't have the numbers in front of you, you're just going with the flow. So the goal of accounts is to give you that insight for decision making, so you can make decisions as per the realities of your numbers and not just live on your gut flow. So I want you to understand this. Any business needs these 5 functions that I've spoken to you about so far. We need marketing to generate leads, sales to generate revenues, operations to deliver on the impact and the happiness to the customer, R&D to create new products and services, accounts for accuracy, compliance and insight, and then comes the 6th function, which is human resources, which means we need to achieve the goals of recruitment, where we hire the right talent at the right time. We need to achieve the goal of people development and make people more capable by training and coaching them. And we achieve the goal of culture by creating an environment of happiness. And that would be the goal of human resources: recruitment, people development, and happiness of people. So that would be function number 6. Then comes the 7th function in any business, which is management. And the goal of management is 3 things. The first goal of management is clarity. To know where we are, to know where we want to go, and to know exactly how we are going to get there. The second goal of management is performance acceleration, which means to bridge the gap between what we can achieve and what we are achieving. To bridge this gap by reviewing, by holding people accountable, by giving people feedback, by mentoring people, and making sure that we are living up to our potential by accelerating our performance. So that would be the second goal of management. And the third goal of management would be strategic growth. The goal of management is to think of new ideas, new services, new products, new dimensions, new business lines, new markets to take the business to the next level. So goal of management is 3 things: clarity, performance acceleration, and strategic growth. Now, I have shared with you these 7 functions. Now, the key question to answer is, in your business, in your company, are these 7 functions working consistently? Because this is what I noticed in most small and medium entrepreneurs and their businesses while I coach them. What I notice is these 7 functions are not working consistently. These 7 functions come into play only when there is a crisis. For example, if there is no leads in the pipeline, suddenly the business wakes up and says, we need to do marketing to generate leads. Or if there's no money in the bank, suddenly people wake up to say, we need to go sell to get money. Or if there is a challenge with the customers, suddenly people wake up and say, we need to have an operations system to make sure that the customer is happy and is getting what they want. So I want you to understand this. Most small and medium businesses are reactive. Now, I know some of you are smiling because you're telling the person sitting next to you, this is the story of our life. But let me tell you this, by being in this firefighting mode and by being reactive on these 7 functions, you're not actually building a business. You're just building a self-employment model where everything is dependent on one person, and that one person is the business owner. Now, I want you to think about it. Can the business owner do everything? No. The business owner cannot do everything. Even if they are good at everything, they cannot do everything consistently. And the key about building a successful business is to make sure that these 7 functions are working consistently, which means that marketing is working consistently to generate leads, sales is working consistently to generate revenues, operations is working consistently to deliver on customer impact and happiness, accounts is working consistently to record the data, do the compliance work, and make sure there is data given to the management for decision making. HR is working consistently to make sure there's people development happening, recruitment happening whenever required, and a culture of happiness is there. And management working consistently to make sure there is clarity throughout the system, there's performance acceleration happening throughout the organization, and there are new avenues of strategic growth that we are working on. So I want you to understand this. Even if your business owner is extremely talented and is superhuman, The challenge is that they cannot do it consistently, and they do things only where there is a crisis. Tell me if you agree to this. The business owner spends his time only on problem solving and firefighting, not really on growth and management of the business. And that's why the business does not grow. That's exactly the reason why business does not grow. So if you want to build a business which is a win-win-win business where all your aspirations are being met, I have a task to give you. Are you ready to hear the task that I have to give you so that you can build a win-win-win business where everybody grows? Ask me, what's my task? Come on, everybody ask me, what's my task? So now that you ask me with so much love, let me tell you. Your task as a team member is to make sure that the business owner of your business is fired. Yes, you heard me right. The business owner needs to be fired. We need to make sure that the business owner is not involved in day-to-day operations, is not involved in marketing, is not involved in selling, is not involved in accounts, is not involved in HR. The business owner needs to be only focused on management so that he can hold the entire system together and grow the business strategically. If the business owner is going to be involved in day-to-day operations, that business is only going to be stuck in firefighting mode. And in the firefighting mode, the business is not growing, which means each one of your careers can't grow, each one of you cannot grow financially. So you have a job at hand. So everybody point at the business owner, point at the business owner in the room right now. It may be your boss, so point at your boss, okay? Look at them and say this. My job is to fire you. Come on, say it. Say it. My job is to fire you. Yes. You have to make sure that you become the second line team of leaders who are committed to the company and are competent enough to produce results so that the business owner can focus on the management and the strategic growth of the business. Your job is to fire them from the day-to-day operations. Only then the business can grow. And all my business owner friends who are watching this video, you just got your team to tell you that they're going to fire you. So this should be your response. You tell them the pleasure is all mine. Come on, say it. The pleasure is all mine. Yes, absolutely. Because I want you to think about it. We need to make sure all these 7 functions are functioning. We need to make sure that these 7 functions are functioning consistently. Marketing needs to happen consistently. Sales need to happen consistently. Operations need to happen consistently. Only then the results will be consistent and high. If marketing happens reactively only when there is a problem, or sales happens reactively only when there is a problem, then that's the bigger problem. Then the business is stuck in firefighting. So our job is to make sure that we build a team which makes sure these 7 functions are functioning and the business owner is focusing on management and strategic growth to take the business towards new opportunities. So I hope you now got clarity of what does it take to build a successful business. If you got clarity to know what exactly it takes to build a successful business, turn to the person next to you and say, now I'm clear. Come on, give them a high five and say, now I'm clear. Awesome. Now, this was level 1 of clarity, where you need to know that business has 7 functions and all these functions need to work consistently for higher results and higher efficiency. So that was level 1 of clarity. The next level of clarity which we need to work on is what are the tasks and activities that need to happen in each one of these 7 functions and who will do those tasks and activities. Because in any role, in any organization, there are 3 types of roles in one single department. In every department there is a creator, someone who creates the goals, someone who creates the strategies. So we need people with that ability to be the creator, with that skills and knowledge to be the creator, to create goals and strategies of that department. The second level of role in any department is that of a manager. Now the manager is the person who plans the goal and he does a review of the people who are executing that goal. So the manager's job is planning and reviewing, the creator's job is creation of goal and strategy. And then comes the doer. The doer is the person who executes the system, who executes the plan and produces the result. Now, I know most of you are small and medium enterprises and I'm not saying you need to hire for 7 different departments, you need to hire 3 different people. No, you can multitask based on the time as well as based on the capability level of people, and you can switch between roles of creator, manager and doer. However, you need to be clear that who needs to do what. And for being clear who needs to do what, we need to work on the role clarity of every person on the team. Now we are going to be working on the role clarity of every person on the team using a template which I call the 3 a.m. template. Everybody write it down. It's called the 3 a.m. template. Some of you are wondering, what is this 3 a.m. template? Well, my logic is simple. I believe if people are not clear about their role, there is no chance they can achieve their goal. Yes or no? Is that a fair logic? That if people are not clear about their role, there is no chance we can expect them to achieve their goal. Now, what I am talking about is having that level of clarity in each one of your roles, where if anybody calls you at 3 a.m. in the night and asks you what is your role, you should be able to answer that question to them without even thinking or without any hesitation. Does that make sense? So you need to be having that capability to answer this question without thinking, without hesitation. That's why it's called the 3 a.m. test. So after you do this exercise, don't be surprised if I call any of you at 3 a.m. in the night and I will ask you what's your role, and you should be able to answer that question to me without thinking. Are you ready for that challenge? Yes? I will make you ready for that challenge by making you fill in a certain template. So with the email that we've sent you along with this webinar, there is a role clarity template that you will see, and you will also see a sample along with that. What I want each and every one of you to do is take a print of that role clarity blank template and that sample, and you will see a certain format for creating role clarity. You will see a one-page document for creating a role document for each and every one of you. Now here's what the document has. The document has different sections. Right on top, the document has the role title. So you will see the role title, the job title there. The second section of that document is the role definition. You will see a 2-3 line summary, or space for a 2-3 line summary to describe what is that role responsible for. So you will see a definition of that. And then you will see the responsibility deliverable. That's the third section of that template. Now in the responsibility deliverable, you will write down not more than 3 or 4 key responsibilities for that role. Let me tell you this, I see a lot of small businesses doing multitasking. I am okay with multitasking. I believe small businesses need to have roles where people are multitasking. However, the multitasking should be restricted to not more than 3 or 4 core responsibilities, and multitasking is dependent on 2 things. Number 1, the time the person should be sufficient to multitask. Number 2, the person needs to have the required capabilities to multitask. So I want you to understand this. In the responsibility deliverable, you answer the question of what am I responsible for, or what is this role responsible for delivering. It should not be more than 3 or 4 responsibilities. And then you see another section of the role clarity template, which is called the tasks and activities. Now let me tell you this. The tasks and activities section of the template is the most important section of this template. Why? Because in the tasks and activities section, we take every single responsibility from the responsibility section of the template, and for that responsibility, we list out step-by-step tasks to be done in a sequential manner. Everybody make a note of this. We list out step-by-step tasks to be done in a sequential manner. The key is to put it to the smallest step and put it in a sequence. So we need to have step-by-step tasks to be done to fulfill that responsibility in a sequential manner under the tasks and activities section of the template. Let me tell you this. This is the most critical piece, because I always see this. One person leaves a company, the entire company loses focus and track on what needs to happen in that role. So we need to have step-by-step tasks in a sequential manner listed for every role. So tomorrow if anybody leaves as well, it should be a win-win-win. The company should not suffer. It is a joint commitment. Remember that. So it should be win-win-win, which means we need to have a role clarity system where a new person comes in, and if they have the required capabilities, we give them the step-by-step task, we give them this role clarity document. They should know exactly what to do. Now, more than the new person coming in, I believe just having this level of clarity of step-by-step sequential tasks in your roles will take your performance to the next level. and you will see when I ask you to do the exercise, the level of confusion each one of you have about your own role is extremely high. And by using this template, you're going to minimize that confusion and gain more clarity. And as you gain more clarity, you will accelerate your performance. So that's why the tasks and activities section of this role clarity template is extremely critical. And after the tasks and activities comes another section in the template which is called measurement metrics. This is where you will write what are the parameters you will use to measure the effectiveness of that role. What are the parameters you will use to measure the effectiveness of the role. Now if you see the role clarity template, it's one page and it has all these sections. It has the role title, it has the role definition, the responsibility deliverables, the tasks and activities, and the measurement metrics used to measure the effectiveness of that role. So what you're going to be doing after today's webinar is you're going to be creating role clarity for everybody on your team. And you will see that when you enhance clarity, you will accelerate performance. Remember, performance acceleration is a result of clarity, competence, and culture enhancement. And today's webinar, we are focusing only on clarity enhancement, which will accelerate performance. And the clarity I have given you is that any business has 7 functions, and in each function we need to have role clarity. So we are going to be working on the role clarity of each and every one of you, and you will see that the performance will start accelerating using this template. Now like I said, in the email we have sent you a sample template along with a blank template. So the sample template has a role document from one of my companies of a telemarketing executive. And you will see how we put the role title, we put the role definition, we put the role responsibility deliverables, we've listed the tasks and activities and the measurement metrics. So I want you to make sure you refer to that, each one of you read that carefully, understand the structure of languaging of each section of that template and create something similar for your own role. So are you ready for your task for the week? Are you ready for your task for the week? Yes. So here's your task for your week. After this webinar, firstly, I want you to review as a team your understanding of PACE, the definition of PACE. Performance acceleration is a result of clarity, competence, and culture enhancement. I want you to discuss what did each one of you learn from that definition. The second thing I want you to review as a team is what are those 7 functions in the business and how those 7 functions are critical for your company to move to the next level. The third thing I want you to review as a business is the role clarity template. So take that sample and review it and share with each other what did you learn from that role clarity sample document. And once you're done that, then I want you to go into exercise mode where each and every one of you will take a blank role clarity template and you will create version 1. Everybody, you will create version 1 of your own role document. So each person will take about 15 minutes right now in the room and write down their own role document using the format that we've given you. That would be version number 1. This is not the final version. This is version 1. Then what you will do is you will sit with your team and you will review every person's role clarity document in that team and you will give them feedback. So you'll give them 2 kinds of feedback. Number 1, if you see any activities are missing, you will give them feedback saying this activity you need to add, and please take people's feedback and add those activities in your step-by-step sequential activities. Number 2, if you feel somebody is doing a task which is not their role, then you got to tell them to remove it and give it to the person that is supposed to be doing it. So you need to give feedback, and once you give feedback to each other and make changes in your departments and in your teams, that would be version 2. Remember, version 1 you will create individually, version 2 you will take the feedback of your team members, you will add tasks which are necessary, remove tasks which are not supposed to be a part of your role and give it to somebody else, and make sure that everybody's version 2 is ready. Now once version 2 is done, then the department head or the reporting manager, you have to present the role clarity document to that person. They will give you feedback and that will become version 3. And finally, you got to take feedback from the business owner, which will be the version 4. Now what you need to understand is this: we need to create role clarity in a manner where all these 7 functions and activities are getting done, And through this process of coaching, we are of course going to be supporting you with strategies and systems in areas like marketing, sales and operations. But for now, you're going to create up to version 4, and as you learn marketing strategies, sales systems and operational systems from us, we will update the role document. Remember this. This is a game of progress, so we're going to keep getting better on this level of clarity, and more we enhance the clarity, more we will accelerate the performance. I want you to refer to the instructions and steps we've given you in the email. Please refer to that and follow that in a step-by-step manner. The outcome for today's webinar would be for each one of you to create a version of your role clarity document, and you will see that with that clarity, the performance will accelerate. So with that, this is me, Rajiv Talreja, signing off from webinar number 6. I want to thank you for being a part of this webinar. I look forward to you in the next webinar, and I know for a fact that when you come into the next webinar with your role clarity, your performance would have gone up. Thank you so much. This is Rajiv Talreja signing off.